Good afternoon, everyone. Buenos dias, bon dia to everybody connecting from the region. My name is Ciara O'Flynn. I'm Director of the Latin America and Caribbean Unit in Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs, and I'm delighted to welcome you all today to the launch of the Irish Government's Strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean to 2025. This strategy is the latest to be released under the Global Ireland Initiative, which aims to double Ireland's footprint across the globe. It is Ireland's first ever strategy for this hugely significant region, which is home to 650 million people and a trading partner that is currently worth almost €5 billion per year for Irish companies. That's not to mention our long-standing shared global values, cultural, heritage, and people-to-people links. So this launch event today represents a historic moment, and it's really just the start of a step change in Irish relations with the 33 countries of the region. We have a very full programme for you today that will include the official launch of our strategy by Minister Coveney shortly, remarks and interventions from key political figures in the region, cultural performances, and discussions on our trade and education relationships and our strong shared values and people-to-people links. But first, to begin today's event, here is a short video to set the tone. It gives a snapshot of the diverse Irish engagement that is already in place with our friends and partners in the Latin America and Caribbean region. I hope that you enjoy it.
The 33 countries of Latin America and the Caribbean have a population of more than 650 million. The region's links with Ireland stretch back for hundreds of years. The potential for mutual benefit from enhanced partnership, both bilaterally and multilaterally, across a whole range of sectors is really significant. Irish people have played crucial roles in the history of the region, most notably in its independence movements. Latin America and Caribbean countries also have a long tradition of strong cooperation with Ireland on some of our most deeply held values, including gender equality, human rights, peace building, nuclear disarmament, and more recently, climate action. Ireland looks forward to continuing to work closely with the region in the years ahead.
Since century 18, thousands of Irish men and women have settled in Latin American Caribbean,
establishing one of the most important diasporas in the world.
Today, community groups, schools, clubs like the Hurling Club,
founded by Irish immigrants, our ancestors, exactly 100 years ago,
continue to play a leading role in promoting Irish culture in the region.
The Irish Mexican Chamber is a focal point in connecting the Irish and Mexican business communities, with members ranging from multinationals to SMEs, both Mexican and Irish companies. We have created a support network that gives economic and cultural context to companies entering the region. With a population of 130 million people, Mexico is the perfect beachhead for companies interested in the Latin American and Caribbean region. The recent fintech and ongoing digital transformations here in Mexico also position this market as a launchpad into the rest of Latin America. We are proud to be part of Team Ireland, dedicated to supporting Irish companies and excited to be uniting the Latin American and Caribbean region as a singular business network.
Bueno, definitivamente el acuerdo de paz que suscribió Colombia con las FARC ha sido definitivo y eso es lo que nos va a permitir construir una paz estable y duradera. Irlanda definitivamente ha sido muy importante en esta implementación del acuerdo y ha sido definitivo por la experiencia que tiene. Yo creo que Irlanda nos ha brindado sus lecciones aprendidas después de su acuerdo de hace más de 23 años, el acuerdo del Viernes Santo, pues ellos han tenido un trasegar en esa implementación y esa implementación les ha permitido mejorar el acuerdo y flexibilizar un poco su pensamiento, pensar que siempre se pueden hacer las cosas mejores. Y creo que Irlanda nos está dando todas esas lecciones aprendidas para hacer una mejor implementación del acuerdo. Y ni qué decir de su papel y el papel que ha cumplido en el Consejo de Seguridad para efectos de poder implementar el acuerdo en este país. Por supuesto, entonces diría que Irlanda ha sido definitiva en la implementación de nuestro acuerdo de paz.
At the base of the clock tower, icon and symbol of the University of São Paulo, the following statement is engraved. In the cultural universe, the center is everywhere. Irish culture has been the center here in Brazil since 1980, when Professor Munira Mutran started Irish studies as a field of research in our graduate program of the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures. Today, our former graduate students are professors in Brazilian universities and abroad, building up their own centers and bridges with Ireland. The Brazilian Association of Irish Studies, founded in 1989, and the W.B. Yeats Chair, founded in 2006, have spread Irish studies across Brazil and South American countries. For example, in Argentina, there are already 2 chairs and extracurricular courses, and we hope to expand even more throughout the continent. And we wish great success to the new strategy for Latin America and Caribbean region.
It is great to be part of today's strategy launch. I've been to Trinity College Dublin for over a year as an engineering student and also as a visiting research. At Trinity, I did my first sustainability project, and that's what guides my career today. Ireland holds a special place in my heart, and that's why I value so much being part of this alumni network community here in São Paulo. And this strategy, what I like the most, is how it is focused on education, innovation and research. Eu desejo para vocês todo sucesso com essa estratégia.
As a company born in Ireland that develops, builds and operates renewable energy projects in Chile, Latin America and the rest of the world, we are proud to be part of the energy transition that we all need.
It's great to see the stunning images there from the region and to hear those really compelling pieces. And now, back here in Dublin, I would like to invite Minister for Foreign Affairs and Defence, Simon Coveney TD, to officially launch the Global Ireland Strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean. Minister Coveney, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I am delighted to officially launch the government's Global Ireland Strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean. Ireland's first ever strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean represents a real commitment to deepening our strategic engagement with this very important region. It's a concrete outcome from the Global Ireland Initiative. Many of its commitments also complement the Caribbean-related commitments in our Small Island Developing States strategy, which was launched in 2019. This strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean is truly a whole-of-government strategy that has been built on consultation with government departments and our state agencies. It's an ambitious strategy, but I believe the level of potential in this relationship certainly warrants this level of ambition. The links between Ireland and the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean go back hundreds of years. Many Irish people travelled to the region in centuries gone by to make it their home. And we know that the Irish were central to many of the independence struggles in countries there. Nowadays, an incredible number of Irish citizens and people with Irish roots can be found across Latin American countries, and of course, the Caribbean islands too. You can find places called Belfast and Clonmel in Jamaica. Surnames like O'Farrell and O'Donoghue can be heard across the Andean region in Mexico. Argentina is home to the largest diaspora outside of the English-speaking world, as well as long-established hurling and Gaelic football clubs. And in recent years, of course, Ireland has become immeasurably enriched by the large number of Latin Americans who have travelled to live, study and work here. Trade between Ireland and the region has grown enormously over the past decade, and lots of potential exists to develop it an awful lot more. The opening of Irish embassies in Bogota and Santiago in 2019, as well as the openings of Peruvian and Colombian embassies here in Dublin, are further testament to our healthy and growing relationship with the region. I really think that there is a natural connection between Ireland and the countries of the region, perhaps because of our historical connections. We also share a deep contemporary commitment to values like multilateralism, peace building and conflict prevention, human rights, gender equality, climate action, and the fight against poverty, and our work on the Sustainable Development Goals. In working together to achieve the Sustainable Development Agenda, we will engage not only with our counterparts in government, but also with our civil society and non-governmental partners too, and with the European Union and the UN bodies that are there in the region. Here I want to highlight the commitments that this strategy shares with our strategy for the small island developing states, which has seen a major enhancement of the value-based engagement that Ireland enjoys in the Caribbean and indeed elsewhere. We're working together on issues of shared concern, like climate change and the blue economy. Ireland brings Caribbean students to study sustainability and climate change-related issues in our higher education sector, and those students will return home and bring what they've learned to strengthen their country's capacity to respond to the challenge of climate change. We'll hear from one of those participants in the programme a little later on. This strategy frames enhanced political engagement with the region, which will help us to progress our shared priorities and our common goals. It sets targets for increased political and official level visits and consultations, and we can already see this happening. The St. Patrick's Day programme this year will see 3 ministers visiting 4 different countries in the region. We'll also aim to strengthen our diplomatic presence and resources in the region as well. We will create a new dedicated office for Central America in our embassy in Mexico. We will consolidate our diplomatic accreditations with all of the Caribbean nations and increase multilateral cooperation, including through the EU, the UN, the OECD, and the Caribbean community. The valuable cooperation already in place with our Caribbean partners through our shared constituencies at the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, as well as our excellent joint work on the UN Security Council with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with Mexico and Brazil, goes to show how much stronger we are when we work together. And in this context, I want to mention the fact that Ireland was accepted as an observer state to CARICOM last year. And just last month, we were admitted as an observer state to the Pacific Alliance. And these events represent significant opportunity for Ireland and show that the strategy is already delivering on our multilateral objectives. The economic relationship between Ireland and the region is one that has grown from strength to strength, particularly in the last decade. There are many success stories of Irish companies that do business with Latin America and the Caribbean across a range of sectors, from medtech to manufacturing to transport and aviation. Two-way trade in goods with Latin America and the Caribbean was valued at over €4 billion in 2019 and had grown by over 17% in just 3 years. Ireland exported €3.9 billion worth of services to the region in 2020, which is an increase of 32% on 2019 levels despite the pandemic. We know that Team Ireland can grow these figures even further, and we're already seeing the huge potential that the green energy sector in Latin America can offer Irish businesses. For example, the export markets are huge for our agri-food sector, in particular in terms of dairy, beef and beverages. In education too, the possibilities are enormous. There are already great numbers of Latin American students in Ireland, both in the English language sector and studying at third level across a broad range of subjects, including in the STEM sectors. There's clearly a growing potential too for academic and institutional exchange in this sector. Promotion of Irish culture and strengthening engagement with our diaspora in the region is also prioritised in this strategy. A new regional cultural officer for Latin America and the Caribbean will be appointed soon. We will ensure that the highest standard of consular services continues to be provided to Irish citizens. Irish studies, research into Irish links in the region, and promotion of Irish literature will also be supported. And of course, we will continue to showcase Irish culture across the region through our key cultural celebrations, such as around St. Patrick's Day and increasingly now also St. Bridget's Day. The strategy will also see our diaspora networks, be they academic or business related, expand and better supported, which will lead to deeper people-to-people links. And work on this has already commenced. In the coming days, for example, we will be launching material for primary schools that outlines the role of key Irish people in the history of Latin America. Fundamentally, this strategy is built on partnership with the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, and working together for our mutual benefit. There are many areas we see as an active two-way street in our relationship with the region. These include achieving gender parity in political representation, for example, or learning from the region's frontline experience in tackling climate change, or approaches towards conflict resolution where we can learn from each other. We'll hear some support words of commitment from senior political figures in the region in a few moments. This is an ambitious, committed, and comprehensive strategy. Together with the countries of the region and with all of our partners, we have an opportunity to deliver a transformative change in Ireland's relationship with the Latin America and Caribbean region. I want to sincerely thank everyone who's taken part in the event today, either virtually or in person. From Minister Motley to ministerial colleagues, from Prime Minister Motley, I should say, to ministerial colleagues, to all the esteemed participants, including EU Special Envoy Eamon Gilmore, Senator Emer Curry, Professor Mo Hume, and Yannicka Rule, and our Team Ireland panel from Education in Ireland, Board BIA, and of course Enterprise Ireland as well. Thank you to everyone who is connected and watching us from all over the world. I want to also wish my ministerial colleagues who are traveling to Chile, to Colombia, Argentina, and Mexico for St. Patrick's Day all the very best, and to thank their hosts in country in advance for their warm welcome that no doubt they'll receive. On the theme of partnership and working together, I would like now to introduce our next piece, which is a really special one. I'm honoured to introduce remarks from Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Colombia, Marta Lucia Ramirez, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade and Worship of Argentina, Santiago Cafiro, Secretary of Foreign Affairs of Mexico, Marcelo Ebrard, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez Parilla, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Peru, Cesar Landa, Acting Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of Chile, Gloria Navarrete, and Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, Dr. Carla Burnett. I am very grateful for your messages, and I hope that everyone watching enjoys them. Thank you very much.
Greetings, my brothers and sisters in Ireland, and of course those of you across Latin America and the Caribbean region. It is with a great sense of hope that I send this message to mark the launch of the 2022 Irish Latin American Caribbean Strategy for International Cooperation. I take particular encouragement from the focus that has been placed on the climate crisis as one of the central pillars of this strategy. The former Irish President, Her Excellency Mary Robinson, a global champion for climate justice, is an important inspiration in Ireland, as she is, my friends, in the Caribbean. And she said that we must make climate justice personal. We have been saying that climate justice is the single most important existential challenge that we're facing in the Caribbean region. And therefore, when she said that we must make it personal, she truly was speaking on our behalf. With the entry of this Irish strategy for cooperation in Latin America and the Caribbean region, we're indeed changing the agenda for cooperation on climate justice. We can, through programs such as this, create new opportunities for making a difference in the lives of ordinary people in this region and indeed beyond. People who are the least contributors to this climate crisis, but who, my friends, are the most vulnerable in the face of its effects. We welcome our brothers and sisters in Ireland, building closer ties with us in the Caribbean, and note with delight the formalization of the appointment of an ambassador in the last year. We say so because in Barbados we particularly remember that many people who came from Ireland came as far back as the 17th century, and regrettably much of this is captured in that seminal work, To Hell or Barbados. We believe that it is up to us, however, in the 21st century to shape our relations in the way that we, both of us, believe that is in our mutual interests. We continue to celebrate the Irish Strategy for Partnership for Small Island Developing States, and we look forward to the active participation of the Caribbean in this particular strategy. So my brothers and sisters, once again, we are family, and we send you a warm salute from our country, Barbados, and we simply say, let us get on to the work. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ireland, Simon Coveney, colleagues, foreign ministers of the Latin America and the Caribbean region, ambassadors, dear friends, thank you very much for your kind invitation to participate in this important event. I would like to congratulate Ireland for the launching of its strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean. This is a concrete vision of the Global Ireland Initiative for this bi-regional partnership. We welcome this policy that recognizes the value of our common relationship based on mutual opportunities, strong political and economic ties, regional engagement, and a focus on benefiting our people. Both Latin American countries and the Caribbean, and of course Ireland, are committed to democracy, a multilateral order based on rules and open economies. We opened embassies in Dublin and Bogota in the last 3 years, and we have seen an increased and deepening relationship in multiple terms. I am pleased to highlight the cooperation of Ireland in peace and reconciliation, and there is strong support to the peace with legality. This is the policy led by President Ivan Duque. The voice of Ireland is so important because Ireland is an actor that has credibility but also knows both the challenges and the dividends of peace. It's very relevant for our own journey, especially at the United Nations Security Council, to have the Ireland voice and, of course, to be working with Ireland within the European Union. It is also relevant to mention the important role of education, which has been a priority for the bilateral relation with Colombia, and our ministries of education. Sometimes I know that we are trying to involve science and technology because we have agreed on a memorandum of understanding soon to be finalized. I'm particularly satisfied to see some objectives of the strategy already being implemented. An example is the decision to include Colombia and Peru in this short stay visa waiver program. This is a measure that it's a first step in visa facilitation. On the other hand, the Council of Ministers of the Pacific Alliance will recently have a very important meeting under the presidency of Ivan Duque, because as you know, we gave the temporary presidency from Colombia to Mexico, and in that recent meeting, we were clear about the importance of this integration process, which is growing every single day, and it's a lot of interest from different members of the international community. And on that meeting, Ireland was accepted by all the members to be an observer state in the Pacific Alliance. This is going to bring certain new opportunities for our mutual collaboration. Moreover, the recent establishment of the Ireland-Colombian Parliamentary Friendship Group will open new scenarios for constructive dialogue between our two countries and between, of course, hopefully, the region. Colombia strongly believes in a multilateral cooperation to face global challenges, and for that reason, we celebrate that this strategy considers the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. I also want to draw attention to the announcement of increased cooperation on gender equality and equality issues. I believe there is much for us to share and learn on this area. particularly in political participation, initiatives to increase the leadership of women in company boards, female entrepreneurship. This is the main aspect of our gender policy. We are convinced that if women have companies, if they become business women, if they have a better participation in the market labor, if we can support so many women becoming providers for the states in government procurement, we will see women as a better actors in our societies. And Colombia is eager to share initiatives such as the world's first gender-linked bond with the support of the IDB. Finally, I welcome the announcement of the upcoming visit to Colombia of Deputy Prime Minister of Ireland as part of this 22 St. Patrick's Day. Now, we know this is a wonderful program, and we know that this is a very representative date of celebration for Ireland. It will be, an honor to host Tanais to Liubarat as a testament to the close relationship between our two countries and the prospects for mutual benefits. Colombia, as a Latin American and Caribbean country, is full of opportunities, natural diversity, rich history, different cultures, different races, of course, different regions. A big diversity is that we have here in Colombia, but mainly strong institutions, stable democracy, a stable economy. This is one of the reasons why Colombia is one of the leaders in the economic recovery. As you know, last year we have had 9.7% of GDP growth, and this year we are convinced that we will have at least 5 or 5.5% of GDP growth. Mr. Coveney, count on us to continue to progress on this mutual engagement between Ireland, Colombia, and all the countries of our diverse region. We hope to see you here in Colombia very soon. We are clear that we are going to work together with you, and we are absolutely convinced that all the pace, all the experience that you have had in Ireland in order to achieve a real peace, this is the best cooperation that we will have from Ireland to Colombia. Congratulations once again, and we hope you be in Colombia very soon.
Es un honor participar del lanzamiento de este Plan Estratégico para América Latina y el Caribe 2025. Nos entusiasma especialmente que un país amigo de la Argentina como la República de Irlanda se haya propuesto avanzar en una iniciativa que, sin duda, contribuirá a potenciar nuestra cooperación e integración birregional. Argentina e Irlanda cuentan con una larga historia de amistad y vinculación cultural que nos brinda un excelente punto de partida para el éxito de este plan. Hace 100 años la Argentina fue de los primeros países en reconocer la independencia irlandesa y también fuimos el primer país latinoamericano en establecer una embajada en Dublín. En este 2022, a su vez, celebramos el 75 aniversario del establecimiento de las relaciones diplomáticas entre ambos países. Irlanda estuvo presente en los mismos albores de la Argentina como nación independiente. Así lo demuestra la notable figura del almirante Guillermo Brown, padre de la Armada Argentina. Desde entonces, los irlandeses que llegaron al Río de la Plata han participado activamente en la vida económica, social y cultural de nuestro país. Su legado puede comprobarse, por ejemplo, en el gran número de clubes sociales, deportivos y asociaciones religiosas y educativas de origen irlandés, sin dejar de mencionar a figuras ilustres de ascendencia irlandesa como Dalmacio Beres Arfield, María Elena Walsh, Rodolfo Walsh y Cecilia Grierson, primera médica argentina que hoy, orgullosamente, da nombre a una de las vacunas 100% nacionales desarrolladas contra el COVID-19 que esperamos comenzar a producir en el 2023. En suma, queremos transmitirle el fuerte apoyo de la Argentina para la implementación de este plan estratégico, especialmente desde nuestro actual rol como presidente pro tempore de la Comunidad de Estados Latinoamericanos y Caribeños, la CELAC, a través de la cual buscamos dar nuevo impulso al diálogo con nuestros socios extrarregionales, entre ellos la Unión Europea. Por ello es que esta iniciativa tiene un valor especial para nosotros, ya que representa un paso esencial en este camino de integración interregional que queremos profundizar. Le envío un afectuoso saludo al ministro Simon Coveney y a todos los presentes en esta jornada. Muchas gracias.
Saludar la Estrategia de Irlanda para América Latina y el Caribe. Me parece muy acertado. Reconozco el interés del canciller, de su equipo y pues, de Irlanda en nuestros países. México tiene una relación muy importante con Irlanda en términos económicos, comerciales, culturales, y celebramos que le ponga atención a América Latina y el Caribe. Es una región pujante, es una región con muchas aportaciones en todos los campos a la vida internacional y que además recientemente ha reactivado su actividad como región, tanto en el Consejo de Seguridad de la ONU como a través de la Comunidad de Estados Latinoamericanos y Caribeños, así como ha procedido a crear nuevas instituciones. Tiene su fondo de adaptación climática, uno de los primeros del mundo, está formando su agencia latinoamericana y caribeña del espacio, y hay muchas propuestas que se han hecho a la comunidad internacional, como el que nadie viva por debajo de $4 al día en ninguna parte del mundo, y que para eso se haga un esfuerzo del 0.2% del PIB de los países que formamos parte del G20, así como las principales corporaciones y los multibillonarios en el mundo, que cada vez tienen más recursos respecto al total de los recursos disponibles. Entonces, deseo el mayor de los éxitos a esta iniciativa y felicitaciones a Irlanda por la propuesta de una estrategia hacia América Latina y el Caribe.
Excelentísimo señor Simon Coveney, Ministro de Relaciones Exteriores y de Defensa de la República de Irlanda. Distinguidos colegas, agradecemos la invitación al lanzamiento de la Estrategia de Irlanda para la región de América Latina y el Caribe. Ofrecemos nuestra disposición de trabajar de conjunto por un mayor acercamiento en un escenario internacional complicado que demanda solidaridad y cooperación para tratar de enfrentar los desafíos globales. Apreciamos la histórica posición de Irlanda en contra del injusto bloqueo impuesto por el gobierno de Estados Unidos contra Cuba, recrudecido sin precedentes en la compleja coyuntura de enfrentamiento a la pandemia de COVID-19. Continuemos trabajando juntos, conociendo nuestra diversidad y disímiles niveles de desarrollo, comprometidos con los postulados de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas y la proclama de la América Latina y el Caribe como zona de paz, con la lucha contra la pobreza, la desigualdad, el cambio climático y por el acceso equitativo al uso de las nuevas tecnologías. Muchas gracias.
I am pleased to participate in the launching ceremony of Ireland's strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean to 2025. I am sure that this new vision will strengthen Ireland's relationship with our region. It's worth nothing that the launching of this strategy coincides with the celebration of the centenary of Irish independence, an important milestone in the history of all peoples. Long and close ties unite our countries. Peru values the important contribution of Irish descendants in Peru and their role in our history since the mid-19th century, particularly in the War of Independence. In 2017, there was an important milestone in the history of the traditional Peruvian-Irish friendship, with a visit to Peru of President Michael Haynes and the opening of the Embassy of Peru in Dublin. Another aspect of great importance for our bilateral relationship is academic cooperation, highlighting the links between the University of Cork and Peruvian universities such as the University of Lima and the Cayetano Heredia University. This common history, as well as our shared values, expressed both bilateral and multilaterally, allow us to look to the future with a renewed desire to work together. I am convinced that Ireland's links with Latin America and particularly with Peru will be strengthened politically, economically, and culturally with the new strategy. Ireland's recent request to become an observer state of the Pacific Alliance testify to this reciprocal interest. Along these lines, I trust that soon we will celebrate the opening of an embassy of Ireland in Lima. I wish Ireland all the best in implementing this ambitious strategy and remain certain that international cooperation and solidarity will prove effective tools in overcoming the challenge created by the health crisis and achieving a quick economic recovery for the benefit of our people. Thank you very much.
Allow me to begin by congratulating Ireland on its comprehensive strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean to 2025. I'm confident that it will strengthen our historic ties and foster new initiatives for the benefit and well-being of our future generations. Chile and Ireland share principles and values in different matters, such as human rights, freedom, democracy, free trade, and climate change. As you may know, Chile is a country rich in renewable energies with the most powerful solar radiation on the planet and continuous onshore winds. In both solar and wind renewable energy, we have built an important and solid partnership with Ireland. Chile is also focusing on its potential to produce the cheapest green hydrogen on the planet, providing efficient and clean energy for a greener Earth. Finally, I would like to highlight the opening of the resident Irish Embassy in Chile. This will undoubtedly deepen even more our relationship in a context of mutual collaboration in areas relevant and dear to both countries.
His Excellency Michael Martin, Prime Minister and Taoiseach of Ireland, His Excellency Simon Coveney, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ireland, and other distinguished members of the Government of Ireland. I extend warm greetings from Georgetown, Guyana, the seat of the headquarters of the Caribbean community CARICOM. CARICOM attaches great value to our relationship with Ireland, and I am truly honored to offer remarks at this launch of the Irish Strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean 2025. This strategy presents an excellent opportunity to strengthen relations and enhance political engagement between Ireland and the Caribbean and Latin America. I am especially pleased at the intention to build on the establishment of diplomatic relations with the Caribbean community, which would see the establishment of a physical diplomatic presence in our region. Already we welcomed the first ambassador to the community last April. The Caribbean has benefited from your supportive voice in the international fora and more recently direct assistance with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic. The community looks forward to closer collaboration with Ireland as we seek to recover and build back better from the devastation of the pandemic. I look forward to the opportunities presented in this strategy to pursue a strong, mutually beneficial partnership. I thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And if anybody was in any doubt as to the positivity in relation to this new initiative, I think those doubts will be well and truly settled from the contributions that we've just heard from prime ministers, from ministers, from senior officials, from right across the Caribbean and indeed Latin America. And I want to thank them for their support for this initiative. We have over 500 people have registered to be part of this launch. And that for me is a very strong endorsement of what we are committing to do to significantly raise the levels of ambition in terms of partnership, in terms of connection between Ireland, the Caribbean and Latin America. And I can assure you of the seriousness within my department and across government in terms of ensuring that this works for both sides. There are many Irish names that are already well known across this region. And recently, people like Eamon Gilmore, who was a central figure in terms of the Colombian peace process, whether it's Mary Robinson, who is seen as an international campaigner for climate justice, inspiring many people, particularly across the Caribbean, as we've heard, or indeed President Higgins, whose contribution to Central America and indeed a number of Latin American countries is an inspiration for many. And now we want to continue to ensure that Irish personalities are part of the story as it continues. And that is why the Taoiseach this year has chosen to prioritise Latin America, to travel to Bogota and to Santiago, to open our 2 new embassies officially in Colombia and in Chile. And I think that says a lot when the second most powerful politician in the country decides to prioritise Latin America over other parts of the world this year. So we're serious about this. We really look forward to the opportunities of shared partnership, which will be a two-way street. I've often spoken about Ireland being a vehicle and a voice within the European Union for other parts of the world, and I think that is absolutely the case for the Caribbean and Latin America. We want to be that connection, that gateway into EU debates in the future to ensure that not only are we talking about a bilateral relationship between Ireland, Latin America and the Caribbean, but also we're very much central to the debates in the context of the relationship with the EU also. So we have history on our side, we have friendship, we have a shared value system that I think we can build on now to create something very, very special. And today is simply the launch of that. So thank you to everybody who's taken the time to be part of that. And I will now pass you back to Ciara. Thank you very much. Gur mille mágwibh agus muchas gracias to everybody who's been part of the launch today.
Gurv Maga Datara, Minister Coveney, thank you so much for your time in joining us today. And indeed for those really strong remarks on what this strategy can deliver for Ireland and for the Latin America and Caribbean region together. I would like to echo your words too of thanks to Prime Minister Motley, the Vice President and Foreign Ministers from the region who generously gave their time for this piece today. Many thanks to our colleagues in the region's embassies in Dublin and elsewhere who assisted us with those remarks and for their continued support. We have such a strong base already that we can build on as this strategy moves forward. As Prime Minister Motley so fittingly put it, all that's left is for us to get to work. And I think that that's really going to become the slogan of our work together. As Minister Coveney also mentioned, a key pillar of this strategy, and really one of the strongest aspects of the relationship between Ireland and the Latin America and Caribbean region, is culture. We have arranged a very special performance for you to enjoy as part of our launch today. I'm delighted to introduce 2 brilliant Mexican folk dancers who are living in Ireland, Jose Rodriguez and Giovanna Torres. Jose and Giovanna will be performing a specially selected dance to a variety of Mexican tracks for us, entitled Son de la Negra, Jarabe, and Guadalajara. We're so happy that they could join us, and we really hope that you enjoy the performance. What a spectacular performance. I have to say we're tempted to list learning Mexican folk dancing as a deliverable for our strategy now, but I do have a feeling it might take us more than the 4 years we've given ourselves to master that amazing art. Now to our next piece. One of the key pillars of our new strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean is our trade and economic relationship, especially in the fields of education, agri-food trade, and of course, support to Irish businesses operating in the region. We've put together a panel today to discuss these aspects in a little more detail, and I'm very pleased to welcome Head of Education in Ireland, Giles O'Neill, to Ivy House, and joining us virtually are Noreen Lanigan, Regional Manager for Bord Bia, and Melissa Fedis, who is Head of South America for Enterprise Ireland. Good afternoon or good morning to you all, and thank you so much for joining us. Melissa, I might go to you first, as you are coming to us live from Sao Paulo in Brazil, where you lead Enterprise Ireland's office for the whole region. Could you tell us a little bit about the potential that Latin America holds for Irish businesses, and which markets Enterprise Ireland has identified as key in the region in the coming years? Thanks.
Good afternoon, Kira. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate at the launch of the Global Strategy for Latin America and Caribbean. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's a very ambitious and very welcome strategy. In terms of potential, I think we heard very good addresses from our previous speakers, and you can hear that from their voices. The presentation showing there are 33 countries in the region, nearly 700 million people. In a very challenging year of 2020, Enterprise Ireland client companies exported 242 million regions to nearly every market in this region. So it's a remarkable achievement from our export base here there in Ireland. In terms of potential and sectors and markets, you heard their mainstream renewable power speaking from Chile, and also the Chilean authority about the fast-growing renewable energy sector. It's an amazing opportunity for new entrants to the market here as it changes. And also we can highlight, we heard Blaney from Mexico, we can highlight Mexico and Brazil have a large and well-established advanced manufacturing sectors with high-volume production of auto vehicles and aircraft, an opportunity for many high-tech Irish companies in these areas. Also, if you look across the region, and Blaney mentioned that as well, in terms of the digital technologies, we have markets growing at fast pace in Brazil and Chile, Peru, Argentina and Mexico in terms of digital technologies, with a new crop of local unicorns being generated here and propelling the digital transformation of this region across a number of sectors. So going back on the traditional economic strengths of the region, they were mainly tourism and commodities, agri-food, minerals, metals, oil and gas. Nowadays, with the adoption of new technologies, these activities are being transformed, and Irish companies are directly involved in this process. We are exporting machinery, IoT, Internet of Things, sensors and platforms, agro and vet chemicals, also software platforms for financial services, for travel, for telecommunications, education, apparel, professional services. So there is a lot to talk about. In terms of key markets, Enterprise Ireland client companies have a higher level, we observe a higher level of activity in Mexico, Brazil, Chile, closely followed by Colombia. And also, as I said, we are currently exporting to most of the markets, the countries here. So, but these are the core critical mass of companies involved in this with local presence and local partners. So given the size of this market and also the characteristics of their economy and the good fit of Irish offerings and capabilities, I believe that these will be the key markets going forward for many years to come. Now, in terms of, we spoke about potential and opportunities. The challenge for Irish companies doing business in this region is to adapt their value proposition and their business models to the business requirements of each market that are so varied and diverse. So in this context, this ambitious strategy is very welcome, because I think this now the larger and more resourced Team Ireland in the grounds here in Latin America and the Caribbean is a great asset for Irish companies who are seeking market information, also looking to connect to new business partners and potential clients. So having said that, I look very much forward to continue our collaboration with yourselves, with other government departments and other agencies in the region. Thank you, Kira.
Thanks, Melissa. I think the potential for growth really comes out from what you've said there, as well as putting our new strategy in context, as you did so well. Just as a follow-up question, you mentioned some of the challenges and the areas that Irish companies are working in. What do you think are some of the Irish companies that you work with, obviously, what are their particular strengths that help them when they're doing business with the region? And are there any particular success stories or examples that you might highlight to put that into context again for us as you did so well? Thanks.
Sure, Kira, thank you. So it's an interesting question because a very diverse cohort of companies that we have operating here in the region, of course, is a very large area. And so what I see as competitive advantage and companies who are here and are successful, they offer a clear competitive advantage to their clients. How do they do that? They offer a cost reduction, or increase in productivity, or increased revenues. So companies who are able to do that are doing very well. One thing that is different about Irish companies and is very valued by counterparts here is the fact that our companies are born exporters. They are very internationalized. They are created already looking at global opportunities, what means they have very good client and global reference clients to share with their counterparts here. So when an Irish company comes in and is offering a product, a technology, a service, their client here is interested in that, but is also interested in what they are doing elsewhere. So how is that being adopted in the UK, in the US, in Europe? So the fact that our companies are exporting, when they come here, they have a very good story around their international best practices and expertise they can share with local industry here, and that's highly valued. So this is one thing. In terms of examples you mentioned, we have a large number of Irish companies doing very good business here. For example, ranging from the large ones, the Smurfit Kappa's, Kerry Group, Kingspan, Bimeda, to newer entrants that are also succeeding, like the likes of Ding, Port West, and Irish Breeze, who came in more recent years. We also have a range of companies, and some of them, like Mainstream Renewable Power, they are reporting from Chile on power generation. We have Crowley Carbon working on energy management systems, and Combi Lift that helps clients here optimize their warehouse spacing. They are reducing the carbon footprint of their counterparts here and also reducing costs. So they're doing very well. While on the agri-food sector, for example, we'll have companies like BioAtlantis, that is a crop protection producer from seaweed sources in Kerry, or Semco, who is an agri-machinery producer, manufacturer in Adair, County Limerick. They are selling their technologies here, and they are helping local farmers to improve their productivity. So these are fantastic stories, and I could go on and mention many more. We have Prodaico, Chanel, Aerogen, and Noverus in the life science sector. We have Fexco, Fenergo, and also Dayon on financial services. But I can see my fellow panelists want to come in as well, so I'll stop myself here.
Thanks so much, Melissa. That was really informative and hopefully really useful for people tuning in today. So thank you again for your really detailed answers there. I'm going to move now to the education sector in particular. Obviously, we have Giles here in person with us. So welcome, Giles, again, Head of Education in Ireland.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you specifically, education, I think, is one of the most identifiable modern-day links between Ireland and the Latin American region, mainly because of the large numbers of students from Latin America studying across a range of sectors in Ireland. What is it that makes Ireland such an attractive education destination for students from Latin America?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for inviting me here this afternoon. What a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Let me say that, and well done, well done. It's tremendous. When you get beyond and I had to think about this quite hard, the normal messages that resonate with students. You know, it's an English-speaking environment, it's safe, it's secure, it's at the heart of Europe, lots of multinationals and Irish tech companies are based here, there are opportunities like that. When you get below the surface of that and you really look to see what is so attractive, I think it's to do with the practical nature of the courses that we have. The application of that, so when students are learning, they're able to put into practice what they've learned. And the reason we have that is because we work so closely with businesses to create these courses. And that's very attractive for students and in their future careers, leading to potential work opportunities once they've graduated. I think that's the real reason. And we do quite a bit of research on this as well, so I sort of know that's the real reason that Ireland is so attractive for Latin American and Caribbean students. On the English language side, it goes back a bit further, and we have a very strong relationship across the region, with many of the English language schools having a lot of presence and very warm relationships with which they're very keen to rebuild on now that we are out of the situation that we've been in.
Thanks, Giles. That's really good to know. And as you mentioned, in the education sector, and I think in all sectors, we're very much looking forward to moving forward now into 2022 and, you know, getting back to business, so to speak. So how do you see the outlook for 2022 and indeed beyond within the lifetime of the strategy we're launching today?
Well, the timing of this strategic launch couldn't be better, because we have 8 Irish higher education institutions in Mexico as we speak. And they have just been around 4 cities in Mexico, talking to institutions, talking to students, looking at postgraduate opportunities for them to come and study in Ireland. Ambassador von Heinitz hosted a reception last night. 120 Mexican students attended this reception. It went really, really well. And that's just a clear demonstration of sort of practical work that has been done on the ground already. And the other part of it is that beyond the international student attraction and recruitment is the fact that states within Mexico are interested in talking to us about more sort of longer term partnerships. And that was part, and again, with the ambassador and the team there, introducing us to people within certain states in Mexico, and some of that was explored on this trip as well. Another example would be the work that we did recently with Ambassador Cortez and the Irish Embassy in Colombia. It was slightly different. This was virtual. We had 40 academics from the Irish side and the Colombian side online on a sort of it wasn't quite a speed dating thing, but they were looking for common ground between Colombian institutions and Irish institutions and ways that they can work together into the future.
Thanks so much, Giles. It's great to get those really right up to the minute, practical examples, and also to hear about, you know, in person. It's great to be getting back to in-person events and meetings, but that there is a role for virtual meetings, particularly when working with the Latin America and Caribbean region, and a way to reach people.
It gave us much. It was one of the very interesting things and very beneficial things about virtual. It gave us a much deeper reach across the region. So whereas when you think of a physical event, actually going somewhere and getting people to go somewhere and getting people to come and meet you somewhere, by virtual, and this will change now, we'll have a bit of virtual, we'll have a bit of physical, the reach across the region has been increased exponentially.
Thanks, and I think you've given us as well a sort of a view of the scale of the Latin American and Caribbean region as well, and just the potential, the endless potential that there is there for growth across all sectors, as our strategy demonstrates. I'm going to turn now to another sector, the agri-food sector. We have Noreen joining us from Board BIA in Paris. Hi, Noreen. I'd like to ask you a little bit just to outline the potential for the agri-food sector in Latin America and what the priority areas and markets for Irish companies are, and how you see the potential for growth, to use that phrase again, how you see it on your side. Thanks, Noreen. Noreen, sorry, we can't hear you there. Your microphone might be on mute.
Apologies, can't believe that still happens. Good afternoon, Ciara, and thanks for inviting me to join you here today. Board BIA has very much a watching brief in the region from a market diversification perspective. In 2021, Irish food and drink products were exported to 18 countries in the Latin America and Caribbean region, when we include Mexico, and they were valued at a total of 228 million. This represents 1.7% of total Irish food and drink exports globally. While exports to the region have grown significantly from a low base, this growth accounted for less than 4% of our overall growth in the value of Irish exports over the last 5 years. So it's still very much early days for Irish food and drink companies in the region. From a sector perspective, 83% of Irish food and drink exports to the region are in the form of dairy ingredients, notably caseins to Mexico and FFMP and infant formula to the rest of the Latin America and Caribbean region. This accounts for 3.6% of total Irish dairy exports globally, and this growth in the value of the dairy category primarily fuels the overall growth of exports in the food and drink category to the region. From a market perspective within the region, Mexico is by far our single largest market, again primarily for dairy ingredients.
Thanks, Noreen, and I think that gives us a really good picture of where we are in terms of agri-food, but also the potential for growth, again, which is our buzzword definitely from this panel. And with that in mind, we have a lot of people watching and listening to us today. What are the key messages that you might give to any Irish agri-food companies that are watching today or watching back later and are considering entering the Latin American market? What would be your words for them? Thanks.
So Board Bia's main focus right now in the region is on raising the trade awareness of Irish pig meat, as Mexico is one of the biggest pig meat import markets in the world, and Irish pig meat exporters are looking more than ever to diversify into new markets. Following the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine's work that secured market access for Irish pig meat to Mexico in 2020, the Irish pig meat industry is now seeking to expand this market access to include pig meat offals. To support the market diversification of this sector, Board Bia is currently running a 3-year EU co-funded pig meat campaign in Mexico. This campaign will run until Q2 of 2023. In this context, the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine's trade mission to North America in April this year will include a number of appointments in Mexico, including a pig meat industry event hosted by Board Bia. As Board Bia and the Irish food and drink industry further scopes out the long-term potential for sustainable food and drink exports to the region, we value the on-the-ground support of the 6 Irish diplomatic missions in the Latin America and Caribbean region, and particularly our agricultural attaché in Mexico City, to help us maintain our watching brief in the region.
Thanks, Noreen. Thanks for that insight. And I know that gratitude and willingness to work together is very much reciprocated from us here, from our missions in the region. And we very much appreciate the work of the agricultural expert attaché in our embassy in Mexico. I want to thank you and all our panelists again for your inputs. I hope it's provided some valuable input for everyone watching us today. So Giles, Noreen, Melissa, thank you for your time and your contributions again. I know that we could continue our conversation for a lot longer, but unfortunately time is tight and we're having a hard time keeping a hold of it. So we'll have to leave it here and wrap up for today. But thank you again, really, really appreciate it. I'm going to move now and introduce our final piece. So our final piece today highlights one of the most important drivers of the relationship between Ireland and the Latin America and Caribbean region. And this is something that Minister Coveney already really highlighted in his remarks. And it's our shared values and our people-to-people links. Gender equality, climate action, peace building, reduction of humanitarian need, strengthened governance, and respect for human rights. These are all issues on which the strategy will allow us to work even more closely with the region. And again, as Minister Coveney said so clearly at the beginning of today's programme, by strengthening the links between our institutions, whether that's governmental or otherwise, and most importantly, the links between our citizens, we'll be able to work even more efficiently and more effectively on these issues. The potential for cooperation here goes all the way from local level to interparliamentary and interinstitutional level, EU level, and at UN level, including in high-level fora like the UN Security Council. To speak a little more on some of these areas, I'm honoured to introduce Eamon Gilmore, who is EU Special Representative for Human Rights and Special Envoy for the Colombian Peace Process, and of course former Taoiseach and Minister for Foreign Affairs, as well as Senator Emer Curry, convener of the Ireland-Mexico Parliamentary Friendship Group, Professor Mo Hume, Professor of Latin American Politics at the University of Glasgow and expert in gender and conflict, and Yannicka Rula, a Jamaican participant in Ireland's Small Island States Fellows Programme, who's currently studying a Master's in Environmental Resource Management at UCD.
I am delighted to have been invited by the Department of Foreign Affairs to deliver some remarks at the launch event for the new strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean to 2025. Supporting the construction and consolidation of peace in Colombia has been a key priority for Ireland for some time now. Ireland's commitment to the peace process in Colombia predates the signing of the peace accords and continues to the present day through its support for the European Union's Trust Fund for Peace and through its support for the EU's political engagement with the Colombian government on peace building, including for my own work as Special Envoy. Ireland, of course, has been able to share its own experience in peace building with Colombia and has indeed been able to learn also from the Colombian context. Ireland also provides support to the United Nations peace activities in Colombia and funds various NGOs that are involved in the construction of peace. More broadly, I know that Ireland, along with its fellow EU member states, shares many of the same priorities as the Latin American and Caribbean region when it comes to the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Irish people have worked with Latin American and Caribbean states for decades in order to ensure that these values are protected and to promote respect for these rights and freedoms across the region. Today, this work continues, and Ireland supports a wide range of initiatives that aim to support human rights in the region, from projects assisting migrants in the Andean region, to working with indigenous communities in Brazilian Amazon, supporting NGO activity in Central America, working to protect the lives and rights of women, and advocating for climate protection in the Caribbean. And I have seen much of this work at first hand in my visits to Latin American and Caribbean countries. At the United Nations too, I know that Ireland, as a member of the UN Security Council, has worked hand in hand with Latin American and Caribbean states to ensure that the protection of human rights is front and centre when all issues are discussed and decisions are taken. Ireland's strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean to 2025 will ensure that this strong, values-based cooperation between the region and Ireland, and indeed with the European Union, will go from strength to strength in the years to come.
Hi there, it's Senator Emer Curry here. I'm in Leinster House with Dáil Éireann behind me, and the Seanad of which I'm a member is at the end of this corridor. I'm delighted to be the convener for the new Ireland-Mexico Parliamentary Friendship Group. I'm very much looking forward to working with my counterpart in the Mexican Parliament. This is a really good time for the group to be set up because the Department of Foreign Affairs has launched a new strategy for the Latin America and Caribbean region. I think we all know the benefits of people-to-people connections across parliaments and, of course, bilateral relationships, and I look forward to engaging with my counterparts and also the new groups, friendship groups here for Colombia and Cuba. So there's a lot of interest in the region, and I think that reflects where we are with global issues at the moment, and I'm very much looking forward to working as part of our Ireland-Mexico Friendship Group.
I'm delighted to attend this virtual launch of Ireland's new strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean from a very windy Donegal. The strategy reflects Ireland's aim to advance its values-based engagement with the region, and I welcome its ambition and vision. In particular, the strategy lays out some key commitments that will see Ireland working effectively on issues affecting the countries of Central America, a region that is close to my heart both professionally and personally. Irish organisations and Irish people have been working with Central America in cooperation for many years. We already share strong connections and friendships. So while this work may not be new, what the strategy does is to encourage the reinvigoration of existing links and stimulate concrete actions even further. The strategy will also see Ireland lending support on tackling the major interlinked challenges of climate change, migration, food security and gender equality in Central America. As is in the case of Colombia, there is much that Ireland can share with our Central American partners in the area of peace building. Gender issues and conflict resolution is one area where Ireland and the region could work very effectively together. Ireland has long been a champion of the Women, Peace and Security Agenda at the United Nations and currently co-chairs the UN's WPS Informal Expert Group. Ireland has worked hard to keep the Women, Peace and Security Agenda at the forefront of all Security Council discussions. And coupled with the knowledge of the central role played by women in the Northern Irish peace process, Ireland is both a credible and a committed actor when we speak of how important it is to place women front and centre of any conflict resolution process. This is crucial to ensure that a gendered approach is firmly embedded in tackling the stubborn and persistent challenges of violence and conflict resolution in Central America. The strategy aims to bring all of this experience to bear in Central America over its lifetime, and this is sure to deliver a step change in Ireland's existing relationships with the region. I really look forward to seeing the progress made in Irish relations with the Central American region and indeed across Latin America and the Caribbean during the lifetime of this strategy. Thank you. Gracias. Gura mila mayagat.
I'm from Jamaica and have come to Ireland to participate in the Irish government's Fellows Program for Small Island Developing States. I'm enrolled in a master's course in Environmental Resource Management at UCD. The program modules such as human impacts on the environment, environmental assessment, ecological modeling, and environmental law and policy will allow me to develop my abilities to tackle issues around climate change in Jamaica, mainly issues related to the sustainable management of plant, soil, and water resources. I am also looking forward to starting my dissertation on soil sealing status in Dublin. So far, I am enjoying my time in Ireland. I love the cultural diversity at UCD, and I have already visited several tourist attractions, including the Cliffs of Moher. Also, the Irish people are friendly and welcoming, and I feel at home. Ireland and Jamaica are both island countries with small populations, and about 700,000 Jamaicans have Irish ancestry, so we have lots in common. We share a lot of priorities on the world stage too, including climate protection. However, for countries like Jamaica, dealing with environmental issues is a growing challenge. There has been a change in rainfall patterns, an increase in temperature, and an increase in the intensity and frequency of hurricanes. I hope to take the knowledge that I learned on this master's course, apply it when I return to Jamaica, and thus strengthen Jamaica's ability to address climate change. I am really grateful to the Irish government for this opportunity, and I hope that in the near future, more and more students from the Caribbean will apply to the Fellows Program.
Thank you to Yannicka and to all our contributors there for giving us an overview of the values-based cooperation and strong parliamentary links between Ireland and the Latin American and Caribbean region. I have to say that those remarks, and indeed all of the pieces today, have given us such an insight into the work that's already being done to enhance our relations with the region and on which we can build over the next 4 years and indeed beyond. I hope that our programme this afternoon has given you a good idea of our ambitious objectives for the next 4 years as we implement Ireland's new strategy for Latin America and the Caribbean. I think we've also proven that Ireland and the region may have one more thing in common, and that could be a bit of a lax regard for punctuality, as we have definitely gone over our scheduled timing. However, before we finish and wrap up, I want to again sincerely thank Minister Coveney for his time, and of course Prime Minister Motley and the Vice President and Ministers from Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, Cuba, Peru, Chile, and CARICOM. I want to also thank our very special participants, Special Envoy in EUSR Eamon Gilmore, Professor Mo Hume, Senator Emer Curry, and Yannicka Rula, Special thanks too to all of the Latin American and Caribbean ambassadors to Ireland who have connected with us today, and to all of our other video contributors, including of course our panel participants from Education in Ireland, Enterprise Ireland and Board BIA, Giles, Melissa and Noreen, and our cultural performers, Claire, Jose and Giovanna. On behalf of the Latin America and Caribbean Unit and the Ireland, UK and Americas Division here in the Department of Foreign Affairs, I would like to mention as well how much we appreciate the support of our colleagues, those who have worked on this strategy and relations with the region previously, our missions abroad, and our colleagues in the Communications and Global Ireland units, as well as our wonderful production team here today, who've helped us so hugely in the organisation of this event. Finally, a warm thanks to everyone for watching today. You can follow progress on this strategy on ireland.ie, on the DFA website and Twitter page, and also on the social media pages and websites of our missions in the region. We're going to leave you now, but with a final cultural performance. The beautifully talented Claire Sands, an Irish violinist, will play us out with the tune Malecon Reel, which was actually written in Havana and features Latin American sounds fused with traditional Irish music. Thank you once again. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigada. Gurv míle maithugh agus slán.
Míle buíochas Ciara. I'm delighted to be playing here at the strategy launch for Latin America and the Caribbean today. I'm a sixth-generation fiddler, bilingual singer and multi-instrumentalist who makes fearless folk music with Irish traditional at the core. I take inspiration from my travels around the world, and the last 7 years I've spent every January in Latin America, soaking up the sights, the sounds, and the smells. I'm going to play a tune today called the Malecon Reel, which was written on the Malecon in Havana, Cuba. Buenagisult asankyol.